Hello and welcome everyone to Mindful Movement with AARP Alabama. I am your host, Margie Curry, and again, we're with our very talented yoga instructor, Becca Impello, who's been teaching and practicing yoga for more than 20 years. Now, we want to remind you that AARP is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. With a nationwide presence, AARP strengthens communities and advocates for what matters most to the more than 100 million Americans, 50 plus, and their families. Health and financial security and personal fulfillment. Learn more at aarp.org. AARP is committed to offering opportunities for people to stay engaged from your home, like the Mindful Movement series. You get a chance to do and to work out in the safety of your own home. Let's see if we have Becca here today. Becca.
Good morning, Margie.
Good morning, Becca. So glad to see you. What do you have in store for us today?
Well, Margie, you may know that today is actually Earth Day. So, it's a day here and it's spring. It's a good, it's just a good day, a reminder, to appreciate nature and the environment and Earth. And so along those lines, I thought we would do sun salutations. Now, I know sun salutations references the sun and not the earth, but that's kind of the closest I could come. But I thought doing the sun salutation, which is really sort of a salute to the earth and the sun, both would be a nice way for us to get our bodies moving today.
Oh, that sounds good. That sounds great. Everybody, please remember, check with your physician before you begin any exercise routine, because we don't want anybody to be hurt, and we don't want you to get in any problems with that. So make sure you check with your doctors before you begin any program. So Becca, all right, let's get going.
Okay, well, let's get going. And I do want to remind that we've been I've been giving you some challenges, some physical challenges to try to do in between our mindful movement sessions. And so, I actually have laid out 2 challenges here recently. 2 weeks ago, I gave one, but then the time before that, so a month ago, I gave the first challenge. And that first challenge was related to standing and sitting. We're going to practice that a little bit later, right when we get up for our sun salutation. So I hope people have been working on their leg strength and just moving their body a little bit more by doing, 5 or 10 sit to stands or 10 little squats, whatever works for you. And then we also worked on some shoulder and neck mobilization last time. And we're actually going to start our practice today revisiting that challenge. So we want to see if we can get those shoulders moving. Let's pick up the shoulders and roll them back. Bring them forward and up. Roll them back. Let's try to take some breaths with this. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, maybe 1 or 2 more times. I recommended in the challenge, that you just pause a couple times throughout the day and do about 5 shoulder rolls like we've just done. And then sitting up nice and tall, drop your chin to your chest and do about 5 or so neck rolls. So rolling that neck shoulder to shoulder across the chest. It's a great way to just mobilize that upper back, improve the mobility of the neck, reduce stress and tension, and bring your awareness into your posture. It's a great just warm up here as well for the rest of our movement today. All right, bring that back to center, pick the head up, let the arms drop down. Let's take a few breaths here. Reach the arms out and up. Exhale, bring them back down. And remember, you can make any movement that I'm demonstrating smaller, a slightly different shape or angle. You can adapt it to whatever works best for you and where you are with your movement and mobility. Let's do 3 more of these. Big breath, reach the arms as high as you can. Exhale, bring them back down. 2 more, reach up and drop down. Last one. Good. All right, now let's do one arm at a time. So one arm up and over. This time we'll take a little side stretch for the trunk, for the spine, back to center. Take it up and over the other way. Remember, if it's not possible for you to get that arm all the way up, you could put that hand on your head as sort of a resting place, or you can leave the arm at your side while you still do that side bending motion. All right, let's do 4 more of these. Last 2. All right, good. Back to center. Let's repeat our shoulder rolls. Big roll up and back and down. All right, now let's warm up our legs a little bit. Start with some marching. Now you could hold onto the chair for a little stability. You could stretch the arms out to your sides and sort of make those arms tight, kind of fist the hands and reach out to give you a little more overall work in your trunk and your arms as you do the marching. Good. About 4 more of these, getting the blood flowing through our hips and our legs. Good, let those arms come down. Now let's kick one leg so we loosen up the knee, back and forth, bend and straighten. Notice, use that mindfulness piece of this practice to put your awareness into that joint. How does it feel as you're moving it back and forth? All right, let's keep that foot forward. You can also rest it on the ground if you want and point and flex the ankle to get some movement happening there. Good, maybe a few circles for that foot and ankle. Go the other way. And release. All right, let's do that for the other side. Start with the knee, bend and straighten, kick and pull. All right, good. You're going to hold that foot forward or rest the heel on the ground, point and flex. Notice how this leg is feeling. Is it the same as your other side, or are there some differences? Circle. Go the other way. Good, and then release it. All right, so we're warmed up basically through the body. Now let's practice that sit to stand. Now, I want to recognize that this could be an easy task for some of us, and it could be a pretty challenging task for others, right? So we've all got different levels of ability. So remember, you can use this as a way of just kind of moving and circulating, or maybe it's a real challenge for your strength, right? If you want it to be more of a strength builder, when you're doing it on your own, you could hold something heavy like a weight or something that would give you a little more load on those legs if you want. If it's hard for you to get all the way up and down from a chair right now, well then maybe you change it to the mini squats that you do from standing, maybe standing at the back of the chair and not sitting all the way down this low, but going up and down. All right, but let's do it I'm going to do it from the chair. You make whatever adjustments you need to do. Slow. Lean forward, push up. You could reach up to stretch the whole spine if you want, and then sit down and try to sit down nice and soft, nice and slow. And then again, lean forward, push with those legs, stand up, reach up, and then sit down. And then forward and up. There's 4 repetitions. Remember, we're going to do 5 here. Another way to adapt this challenge, though, to you is to do a different number of repetitions. Maybe doing 10, maybe doing 15, maybe doing, just 1 or 2 if it's a real challenge for you. All right, so we've done our challenges. we're warmed up. Let's go ahead and transition to our sun salutations, which we're going to do from standing. We're going to use the chair. Remember, there's a lot of options for how you might do your sun salutation. You could do your sun salutation to the chair, to the seat of the chair. You could use the back of the chair or a wall if you want to stay up a little higher, right? You would just sort of use the wall as your platform. You can also go all the way to the floor if you feel like you could take a little more loading into your body and you can get down and up from the floor. You can do the sun salutation that way. You just use the floor instead of the chair for where you place your hands. All right, I'm going to do mine from the chair today. So let's go ahead and stand tall in front of that chair. Take a moment, maybe bring the hands together in front of the chest. Find your feet on the floor. Lift up through the crown of the head to be a little taller. And again, we're doing these sun salutations today in part because it's Earth Day, and we'll kind of use this folding down and lifting back up as just a way of giving thanks, of showing some respect and reverence for the environment, for the earth. All right, so let's begin. Reach those arms up, stretching up as much as is comfortable, and then softening the knees, bending at the hips, and taking it down. Hands to the chair, to the wall, or maybe to the floor. Let's just take a little bit of time with this first forward fold and just see what it feels like. Feel free to wiggle the hips a little bit, maybe shifting the knees side to side, that kind of thing. And then let's lift back up. We're going to flatten the back. We call this a half lift or a flat back lift. And then fold back in, letting the head drop, the knees soften. And then we'll lift up a little bit and change the feet. So we're stepping one foot nice and far back. The other foot is either between the hands on the floor or up close to the chair or the wall. All right, so we're in our lunge position. Let's hold this one steady. Just pushing into that back heel, pushing into the hands. I'm trying to lift the chest a little bit. We'll do some other options or variations on our next round of sun salutations. All right, now we're going to step back with that front leg and come into downward facing dog. So we're pressing the hips back, lengthening out through the arms, lengthening out through the spine. It may be that you want your knees a little bent here. That would be fine. So if it feels really tight in your hamstrings here on the back of your leg, you can bend those knees some. This might be another place to do a little wiggling, a little shifting movement. All right, now here comes one of the challenges of our sun salutation, and that's plank pose. So shifting forward into a nice straight line. If you're on the ground, by the way, if you're doing the sun salutation to the floor, you might want to put your knees down in plank. That's just a variation you can take from that position. Nice, strong arms, push the floor away, or push the chair away from you. One more breath. Now let's transition, pushing the hips back again, and then stepping the other leg forward. So we come into that same lunge position, but on the other side. So again, push into the hands to lift up through the chest, push back into that back leg, dropping or pushing that heel towards the floor. Good, and then we'll step back into the first position, or the tabletop position, or the folded position. All right, so knees soft, feet are side by side, drop the head, and then lift up, flat back, and then fold. And now we're going to rise through chair pose. We're going to sit back into those heels. This is sort of that mini squat that I mentioned. So sitting back, strong legs, arms can lift out in front or stay close to the heart. And then let's rise all the way back up tall, stretch up, and then bring the hands to the heart. And we're back where we started. So let's just pause a moment, check in, see what you notice in your body. What was the effort like for doing that? Maybe it was a challenge. Maybe it was, not very hard or difficult, but just a nice way to move and notice your body. All right, let's do another round. Inhale and reach up. And then fold down. We'll lift back up, sort of halfway or flat back. Maybe the knees straight, maybe they stay a little bent. And then fold down. Now I try to alternate which leg I step back with first. So I'm going to take my other leg back first. So I did the opposite side that I did on the first round. Now feel free to leave your hands down on the floor or on the wall or on the chair, or see if you want to try bringing those hands, head, and shoulders upright. This can be challenging for the balance, so give yourself something to focus on. The hands could stay right here at the heart, or feel free to lift them up. Good, one more breath here. And then we're coming back down with those hands. So back down to your surface, and then we step back into downward facing dog. So feet are about a hip's distance apart. Remember, we don't all have to look the same when we're doing yoga, right? You different shape to your movements. I mainly want you to be noticing how are you moving your body? What things are challenging? What things feel good? What things feel a little stiff? What can you learn about your body here? All right, shift forward, coming to plank pose. Push nice and strong. That chair or floor away from your chest. Firm up those legs. Think about sort of zipping up your belly, sort of from the low belly up towards the belly button and beyond. All right, we'll transition by pushing the hips back and then stepping the other leg forward. So now we're in that lunge on the other side. All right, maybe you stay with those hands down, or you have that option to bring the hands up. Take your time. Maybe raise them all the way overhead. And then let's release. We're going to step back in with that back foot. So we come back to flat back, lift up, then fold, dropping it down. Sit back. Your weight should feel like it's in your heels, right? Like you're almost going to fall back. Chair pose. You can be shallow or you can be a deeper sit, harder if you get lower. And then rise up tall. Stretch a little bit at the top. Hands to the heart. Take another moment to pause here and check in. See what you notice. I feel a little fatigue in these thigh muscles here in my legs. I feel my heart beating just a little bit stronger than I noticed at the beginning of our practice. All right, we've got time for sure for one more round of sun salutations. All right, so let's take those arms up, fold it forward. I'm going to give you a few additional variations, options, but you can keep it, to what we've already done if you'd like. Flat back, lift up. All right, now we're going to take a little option here. Knees can be as soft as you need. And again, if you want to skip this and enjoy the fold for a few more breaths, you can. But this is a nice place to do a little twist. Push into the chair or the floor or the wall and turn in one direction and then come back and then take it the other way. Let those hips shift a little bit, knee bends on one side. Let's try that again. All right. Now we'll go ahead and step back with one leg. Get into that lunge position. Sometimes it's called warrior one when we come upright. So you can come up or you can stay down, and you might put a twist here. You might turn, back with the same side that the leg is forward. It could be hand in the chair, or it could be hand up All right, good. 1 or 2 more breaths. You can feel free to not twist here though if you want. Keep it like we did the first couple rounds. All right, and then we'll bring it back. We're going back to downward facing dog. Pushing back with those hips, lengthening out those arms. Again, maybe some movement. This can be another good place to do some shifting of the knees and the hips to get a little more loosening happening there. All right, now here's an option that you can come along with me if you want, or you can stay in plank. I'm going to shift into plank, and then I'm going to push back into downward dog again. So I'm going to go back and forth and make this a little more dynamic. This is just an option. Maybe you want to hold that plank instead. Good. I'm going to do 3 more. If you're holding your position, try to hold for 3 more breaths. Good. All right. And then let's press it back one more time and shift back into our lunge. Other side. So other leg forward. Remember, you can stay down using the chair for support, or you can come upright. You can add that twist if you want, or you can keep yourself facing forward. Good. 2 more breaths here. All right, and then we come back, step back in, come back to that flat back, and then fold it forward and down. Sit back or drop the weight back towards those heels. Slowly rise up for chair pose. Remember, hands can come close or stay forward, maybe even rise up for a little more work. And then rise all the way up tall. Take a stretch at the top. And then hands back to the heart. And again, pause. Take a moment to check in. All right. So let's come back to seated so that we can stretch out things a little bit in the hips. And kind of wrap up our practice today. Those sun salutations, hopefully they got you moving. It can always be a nice way to just get some energy flowing or get some stiffness out of the body. So feel free to use that sequence if you like it at other times. That could be maybe what you take from this practice. All right. Well, let's take one arm across the chest. Stretch that shoulder out a little bit. Sit up nice and tall here. Try to drop that shoulder down away from the ear. And then give that head a little tilt towards the hand there. All right, and then let's bring that head back up. Release that arm. Shake it out a little bit. And take the other arm across the chest, sit up tall, see if you can sink or drop that shoulder down a little bit from your ear. Tilt the head away from that shoulder. Good, release, bring that head up, release that arm, shake it out. Scoot forward if you're not already. Sit towards the front of the chair. Reach the arms back. Maybe grabbing hold of the chair somewhere. So maybe down by your hips or back behind your waist. And if you can't hold your chair, if it just doesn't work, then reach back, squeeze the shoulders back. You may need to take a break sooner is all. Lift up into that chest. Take a couple of nice deep breaths. Good. And then release. Go ahead and give those shoulders a couple of rolls. We're back to our challenge. So this is that shoulder and neck suggestion. Nice big shoulder rolls. 5 times, maybe up to 10 times. The number is not really so important. It's just that you do some, right? And then sitting tall, drop the chin to the chest, give that head a roll from shoulder to shoulder. All right, and then pick that head up. So that just reviews one of the challenges that I've given you, the challenge for neck and shoulder mobility and releasing tension. And then, of course, the challenge for sit to stand or squatting. We've already done that. Let's go ahead and stretch those legs a little bit more. Take 1 foot forward, heel down, toes up. And then just lean into that any amount until you feel some stretch down the back of that leg. Now, if you're really flexible, if your hamstring is pretty, bendy, it may not be much of a stretch. It may be helpful to lift that leg up onto something like a stool or a block or that sort of thing. But a lot of people are going to feel plenty of stretch just with it in this position. Come on back up tall. Let's take that same leg and cross it. You might cross it all the way up onto your knee, your thigh, or you may find that it works better for you to cross it here on the shin or down at the ankle. But try to get that leg turned so that the inside of the knee is facing up as best you can. And then sit tall and maybe lean into it a little bit. Another couple breaths here. Be mindful still of what you're sensing, what you're feeling in your body, what that stretch feels like, or what this position feels like. Good, and then release. Let's take it to the other side. We're going to start with that heel forward, toes up to stretch the hamstring, and then I'll lean forward. Maybe you hold on to your chair there if you like. All right, and then we'll sit back up tall, transition this to the hip stretch. This is sometimes called figure 4 because the shape that our leg's making somewhat resembles, a certain type of way of writing the number 4. So it's often called figure 4. Remember, you could cross high there on the knee or maybe below the knee or down somewhere on the shin if you want. Maybe a little lean into it. Again, be mindful. Notice what the sensation is like and where. What do you notice about your right leg compared to your left leg now that we're on the second side? I'm always a little tighter in my left hip. All right, so let's uncross now and sit back up tall. Maybe scoot back in the chair a little bit. Just take a moment here, since we have just about a minute and a half left. We're just going to take a little mindful moment of breathing. So place a hand on the heart, a hand on the belly. Maybe close your eyes. And the first thing I'd ask you to do is just to simply watch your breath. You don't have to change it necessarily. Just feel that rise and fall. Right? That might be enough for you. If you feel like you can put a little bit of control into your breath and try to take a little bit deeper inhale and a little bit slower, longer exhale. Two or three more breaths. Follow that breath in and out as best you can. All right, and then open the eyes. Go ahead and just let the hands come together at the heart, a gesture of gratitude. We're thankful for your presence here with us at Mindful Movement, and we're all grateful for AARP Alabama and their wonderful staff and volunteers that make these programs possible for you to enjoy from home. So thanks for joining us. Keep working on those challenges, leg strengthening, neck mobilization, and I'll have something new for you next time.
Thank you, Becca. You're right. Sometimes that other hip just doesn't seem to work the right way. But thank you so very much for your session today. And we thank all of you for tuning in this morning to Mindful Movement with AARP. We enjoy having you. And you would please remember to complete the survey at the bottom, because we want to know what you want to see, what we want to hear from you. So please fill out that feedback. And we look forward to you again with Mindful Movement at AARP Alabama on Tuesday mornings at 10 o'clock. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Bye, Becca.